What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we are going to be doing the comparison between the Fif23 and the Fif20 from Custom Knife Factory. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, first things first. The Fif20 was sent to the channel by way of Mr. Sharp_Marble. Thank you so much, sir. He is a great guy. He loans knives out to a bunch of other YouTubers. Matter of fact, this knife was actually sent to me directly from Lefty EDC because he had this knife first on his channel. And then I, during that time, actually was able to pick up the Fif23. And so it was awesome that he allowed Lefty to send this thing over so I could do a direct comparison. That's awesome. I love him so very much. Thank you, sir. That is great. Now, both of these knives are Custom Knife Factory, and I have just absolutely loved every single Custom Knife Factory that I've had in my hands. They do really good stuff. It's not cheap. They do a ton of different wonderful collaborations with some makers that we might not ever be able to get our hands on the full custom. So the collaborations that they have make it for, it's a higher end production knife, and they're still not cheap, but it makes it to where most people, if they want it, can afford it, because these things, I don't know really what they were right off the bat. They're a little bit more expensive now because they're limited runs, and so secondary market pricing is just, you know, it always goes up. But I believe these things were around 600, 650 bucks, something like that. That's usually around the price that they went for. But there are differences in these knives, not just the size. I almost wish, and we will go over this in a second, that I could morph these together and put some things on the Fif20 on the Fif23, and then some things on the Fif23 to put on the Fif20. So let's get behind this and take a closer look. All right, now that we've got this right in front of us, let's go ahead and open these guys up so you can see the differences more closely in the size. So as you can see, there is quite a bit of difference in the size of these two knives. Fif23 and the Fif20, both absolutely beautiful and both done very, very well. Now, the size is not the only difference, and we're going to go over that. So, first of all, the Fif23 overall length is over 9 inches, about 9.06, and the Fif20 is about 7.87. So, neither one of them are small, but this one is definitely big. This is going to be a big knife for most people's standards. This one is going to be a full-size knife. It's definitely not going to be a small knife. You have a blade length on the Fif20 at 3.98. I'm sorry, the Fif23 at 3.98, so basically a 4-inch blade. And then on the Fif20, you're going to have 3.35, so right there is still not a small blade. Your blade thickness is going to be about 140 to 150. So the blade stock thickness is definitely a difference there. You can see that the Fif23 is thicker. And then while we are here, you can still see, yes, that the thickness this way is a big difference. You have basically a handle thickness of about 0.569, 570 thousandths on the Fif20, and then you have about, what did I say, about 670 on the Fif23. So definitely a difference there as far as the thickness and the way that these things carry. Very, very nicely done, though. They don't feel overly bulky. I mean, the Fif23 really feels the hand very, very well. And then the Fif20, oh, it does the same thing, even though it's thinner. It just is really, really comfortable in this grip. Oh, I just am so surprised. So off the bat, you can definitely see the differences in these two knives. You could get this marbled carbon fiber on this, but I believe it was a separate scale that you had to buy. I believe that these came with the weave carbon fiber, which I really still love. It is really beautiful, really well done and milled all the way around this thing. Just an absolute beauty. But this marbled carbon fiber on the Fif20, yeah, I just like it better. It is a gorgeous Oh, such great looking carbon fiber. And the milling, of course, is about the same because it's done with the same folks. So yeah, really, really like it. One thing right off the bat as well is the Fif23. Oh, the one thing I don't like, I love zirconium because I think it looks freaking amazing. But this one is a polished zirconium. So it is a fingerprint magnet. Like crazy, but when it's clean, it is pretty. It also has a zirconium backspacer. They really nailed it out of the park on the Fif20 though, because this is a matte finish, not a fingerprint magnet. It is, I think, a blasted zirconium. So I really like the Fif20 more on the bolster because of that. It does not catch those fingerprints, but I think it looks just as good. So that is definitely something that the Fif20 has for it. On the other side, I would like you to see, this is something that's interesting. The Fif23 on the other side has just a plain, I actually like this clean look. There's no Torx in the pivot over here. However, taking it apart, you know, kind of makes it a little bit more difficult when you don't have something to kind of go against the Torx. So it looks cleaner, but on the Fif20, you can see that they have a Torx on this side as well. So that makes it easier to take apart. That is for sure. One of the other big differences on the Fif23, if you like a lanyard, you're going to only want the Fif23 because it does have a lanyard hole here, and they took that off on the Fif20. The backspacer just goes all the way around. I really like the way that looks. I do not use a lanyard, but the fact that it's split right here to give you a lanyard hole, I'm totally okay with that. It doesn't take away too much of the knife, even though I do think this looks a little cleaner. One thing that I like the Fif23 more so than the Fif20 is the jimping size. If you see here, the jimping is much smaller here, which is a much smaller knife, but I still think they should have brought that jimping out like they did on this one. My thumb rides up here on this knife, and it rides up here on this knife. However, you know, I can choke back and get that jimping, but my thumb really does. So neither one of the jimping really bothers me or actually does anything for me other than it gives it a great flip there. But as far as holding the knife, my thumb rides higher than that on both of these. But I still think the Fif20 would have been better if it had the jimping a little bit longer. I actually think it looks cool. Even though it's not functional, that's going to be a personal thing. Both of these have a hand satin blade, and the hand satin that they do, Custom Knife Factory, is absolutely immaculate. Both of these knives are M390, and they have beautiful satin finishes. Hand rubbed, just absolutely great. I love what they do. See if I can get a good close-up of this. Very, very nice. Still didn't wipe this thing off very well. But come on, camera. Very nice satin finish. You know, I don't think the camera just likes this thing at all, because my full review of this was also very aggravating. Look at that finish. Oh, and then, of course, you really cannot tell a difference between the two as far as that hand rub satin. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. One of my favorite things. Now, you can see both of these are sporting the Philippe Georget Maker's Mark, and, of course, the Custom Knife Factory on the other side. That has not changed. I love the pivot. I love the bolster. On this one, it's, I wish I could take this bolster and put it on that knife. I wish I could take the jimping on this knife and put it onto that one. It just makes me, I wish I could make my own, really. But I love them both the same. One of the other differences here is you can kind of see this rounded area on the Fif23 is a little bit sharper than on the Fif20. They actually made it a bigger radius here on the the end of the flipper tab, which I think is a good call. I think that was it really is not as sharp. My thumb doesn't ever really go up here, and it's not really sharp. It's just more rounded, more refined on the 20. So I think that's something that they just kind of took, and they were like, you know what, that looks a little sharp when we make this, because this one was second. We're going to tweak that. But yeah, the blades are the exact same, just a scaled down version, and they just look amazing. Philippe Georget, I've never had anything else of his. These are the first, this is the first knife I've ever had in one of his designs. But man, do I like it. I think that going forward, Custom Knife Factory is definitely one that I'm watching for. I did just purchase another Custom Knife Factory knife. One of my all-time grails, the Evolution, a Rotten design. So I'm really getting into the Custom Knife Factory collaborations because they are that good, guys. I really highly recommend it if you are looking and you are able to afford some of the higher end production knives, to definitely check out Custom Knife Factory. A lot of theirs are limited runs. So it is one of those that you might have to pick up on the secondary. But this one, mine, is number 203. And I can't remember how many they made of the Fif23. And then Sharp Marbles is number 55. I don't know if I can even, yeah, number 55. So they are limited knives, limited runs. So that kind of makes it difficult to find some. You know, it is kind of the nature of the beast, because when these makers have these knives and they have the custom knives, I'm sure that they're like, okay, I want to do a collaboration, but I don't want it to be an ongoing thing, because somebody will just buy Custom Knife Factory and they won't buy my customs. I'm not sure how true that is, but I'm sure that's going through their minds. So yeah. So basically the ratios of this knife, I compare it to two knives. So you have the Custom Knife Factory Fif23, and it's pretty close to the size of the Strider SMF, which is the bigger of the two. And then your Fif20 Gee Whiz is about the same kind of scaled down as the Strider S&G. These are the two knives that I had kind of close, where you have a big brother and a little brother. And so that's basically, if you know the size of these two, that is kind of what happens whenever these two collab and they get a little bit smaller. Just a perfect representation of its big brother, just scaled down. And that is what these two offer. So if you are familiar with those size knives, then you will know what I'm talking about. I think it's something that I would really like to have both in my collection. It is, I didn't think I would, but yeah, I think now if I can find one of these and it's not just absolutely crazy, I will probably get one to have in the collection, because Custom Knife Factory has been that amazing to me. So guys, that's really about all the differences in these two. They are very similar, but have very different tones that just set them apart from one another, instead of having one copied of the other, which I really like. I think that was a good call by Custom Knife Factory and Philippe Georget. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by and checking this out with me. Let's go ahead and flip the camera around and let's give the final verdict of these two beautiful knives from Custom Knife Factory. All right, so final verdict on these two beautiful knives. I totally still love the full-size version of the Fif23. It's just still one of my favorite knives in my collection right now. So I can honestly say that I still would prefer the Fif23 over the Fif20. But that being said, I never thought that I would love the Fif20 as much as I do. It is still a good sized knife in the hands, very ergonomic, just like the other one, just not in a lot of extra room. It's a little bit thinner, but it's not too thin. Very wonderful EDC size knife that I think anybody would really like if you like front flippers. If you haven't tried a front flipper, there's plenty of them out there. It's definitely different, something you got to get used to, but it is so much fun. And Philippe Georget does an excellent job with his designs, and then Custom Knife Factory mimicking those, making a production version. They just knocked it out of the park. I love these two, and I love doing this. Oh, that's so much fun. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by and checking it out with me. Go check out Sharp_Marbles on Instagram. I'll have it linked down below. I love these two knives. If you have the opportunity to buy them, do it. You will not regret it. Guys, stay safe in this crazy world that we are living in, and we will see you in the next one.